You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to break down some of our early free agent targets for the Bulls. The Bulls are also expected to match all offers for Coby White and our thoughts from the final all access of the season. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bulls podcast with ESPN 1000. It's Chicago Bears podcast, which ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. And Pat, the Bulls' final all access of the season aired Friday. What thoughts, what feelings were you left from? I have very conflicting feelings coming out of this as a fan of the Bulls, but how'd you feel about it, brother?
I felt like that was a final nail in the season when it comes to what did we really expect this team to do, especially when AK was kind of just like giving his thoughts on what he saw in the season and what he wanted to add and take away. And it was just like, oh, you didn't have faith in this team for a while. Like, that's how it felt to me. Like, it felt like at the end of it, like he didn't have faith in it. But it did, I will say, right, like, I do think, and we'll get into the Coby topic and stuff like that, I do think that there were some players that it spoke more glowingly of. True. And it made me feel like, okay, right, like Coby White's probably going to be back in a Bulls uniform. They do have a belief in Patrick Williams. And I will say this, it made me, there was a moment in the All Access that it actually made me go back and look through the season. And I've been doing that, just rewatching these games to see like, okay, what are the Bulls missing? What realistically does the team need to add, take away, whatever it may be? And he talked about how Pat Will turned into our best three-point shooter. And it gave me this, it gave me this thought. While at a more limited capacity, right, the first half of the season and the second half of the season, at 21 years old, Patrick Williams turned into our best at something. Is that realistically improvement? Now, me and you both agree he took a clear step back defensively at times this season. Kind of got it back second half of the season. Yeah. But it was some games where he was getting cooked. But a 21-year-old Patrick Williams became our best at something. And when you rewatch some of them games with like second half of the season, oh, he was splashing that much confidently. And the three-point shot speed increased
over
vastly.
the course of the season. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I as far as that piece of it, here's what I'll say is that Patrick Williams did absolutely develop this season. He did take a step. I think he took a step at a time where a lot of Bulls fans were wanting, hoping, and I even think the team, when you look at like kind of what we didn't add, was hoping he was going to take a leap, but he did take a step. Yeah. And so that is what you want to see. You know, I know some Bulls fans are ready to just write the story on Patrick Williams. Oh, he's never going to be this, never going to be that. And I look at those same Bulls fans and I'm like, you just said this a season and a half ago about Coby White. So, yeah, and they should still have faith in Patrick Williams. And, yeah, shout out to Pat for becoming our best three-point shooter. I would like to see that volume go up, but that's kind of out of his hands, right? That's per coaching, per some things, and the aggression. And we've seen it this season. If nothing else, right, I would say more than his rookie season, and that makes sense. I'm not using the second season because he just didn't play that much.
17 games.
Yeah. So we did see that when Patrick Williams is aggressive, I'm not going to say he's unstoppable because that's a tall order. There's only a couple of players that are unstoppable in the NBA. But I will say this is that you see how Patrick Williams can impact the game even without having plays called for him at times where he's aggressive. If he can ever just stay aggressive, give us 48 minutes, he's only going to play like 28. Give us 28 minutes of aggression. And I think if Pat ever gets to that area, that's where we'll start seeing a guy who, honestly, I'll say this, will easily give you about 14-4 every single night. And that's just with him playing aggressive. And then if you build up your confidence of your coaching staff and they start calling more plays for you on top of that, You can start seeing that. Now, just because we see flashes of that, it's still up to him to make that a more clear vision rather than a flash. But you have seen that over the season.
Oh yeah, and I love when I get the tweets of, hey Pat, remember when you said Pat Will was a bust?
I love how that went over so many people's heads of what you were doing.
It did. But like, remember when you said Pat Will was a bust, and it was like, yes, I do. Now do it again, right? And the do it again often didn't happen, and that was the problem that we had, right? It's the theme song of the Chicago Bulls team this season. It's a song called Consistency. There's got to be a rap song out there that's named Consistency. Somebody big had to make this, because that is the theme song of the Chicago Bulls season. Just, you needed to be more consistent. And I think, right, when we're talking about everybody, when we're talking about Pat Will, when we're talking about Zach LaVine early on in the season, right, wasn't able to find his rhythm. When we're talking about Billy Donovan as a head coach, wasn't able to find a rhythm, right? I mean, we were changing lineups down to the last game.
Billy Donovan as a head coach wasn't able to find anything. Not much rhythm. It wasn't in the bag. No bag Billy has. No consistency isn't in the Billy's bag. But keep it going. I'm sorry, Pat.
I mean, listen, y'all know what I'm on with Billy. Like I told y'all, all right, he's good, he's not great. And I know everybody's sitting there and they're like, oh my goodness, how can you say that? He doesn't do anything right, blah, blah, blah. Y'all the same people that want the Bulls to go hire Nick Nurse. And I need y'all to actually look at what Nick Nurse was fired for.
I need you to go talk to a Raptors fan, right? And shout out to Mingo, who he sent me a message on Facebook literally right after Nick Nurse was fired. I was like, you and Pat literally called this. And it's like, here's the thing. And I think, because we're so close to it and we're so attached to it.
Yeah.
There's 30 teams in the NBA.
Yep.
I would say probably about 25 of those teams feel the exact way we feel about Billy Donovan, they feel about their head coach.
Yeah. Denver should feel that way about Mike Malone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna like. Hey, here's the thing.
They suffer another 4-1 series in the second round. They're gonna be being just as loud.
And here's the thing, right? Like, you can enjoy it. You don't pay attention to it. This is the thing that I look at, especially even looking at the All Access. Right? Yeah. There are things that you just don't pay attention to when you're winning.
Yeah.
There are things that we don't bring up when we win. We don't just sit there like me and you will do it. But for the most part, mugs don't go, wow, Billy Donovan coached a heck of a game. When the Bulls win, they just be like, Zach LaVine played great. DeMar got buckets. Nikola Vucevic was finding people and was down low killing it.
Yep.
But the second that your coach is losing, first thing you say, he didn't make adjustments in the second half. Now, granted, Billy Donovan don't be making adjustments in the second half. I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is that's most coaches in the NBA. But back to the All Access, is especially with Billy Donovan, right? That feels like that's a relationship that is going to be here for a while. So whether we like him or not,
he's real secure.
He's here.
Billy Donovan is the Christian Rock of head coaches.
I'm not letting you go down that path. I want you to keep having a job here. Because that's not a path that you got to tread lightly. You got to tread lightly. You got to tread lightly.
I'm going to tread lightly. By that, I mean that
I'm so scared. Let's do it.
That he's very content in the relationship, that he absolutely contributes to the toxicity, but people don't really pay attention. Like, Billy Donovan is not going anywhere.
You're good. You're good. I'll allow it. I was
Billy
nervous.
Donovan's not going anywhere. He is entrenched. He is in that mug. He's not going anywhere. So,
hey, man, I'm just, never mind. I was about to mess myself up.
See,
hey, man, ain't about time for that.
Expect the worst out of me.
Hey, listen. You've thrown some jokes out here that have been wild, but we keep it pushing. That's crazy.
But before I go, I just want to also say, like, regardless of whatever happens, who leaves, who goes,
yeah,
I do want to say that this is one of my favorite Bulls team as far as liking the players as people.
Yes.
I love the people that we have on this team. I love DeMar. I love Vooch. I love Ayo. Like, as people, I just like the mindset. And, like, again, there's issues, of course, on the court. But off the court, this is one of my favorite Bulls teams of everything, just who they are off the court. Javante, Derrick Jones Jr. And I'll say this, too. We see very little of Derrick Jones Jr. as far as, like, personality. He's not going to be the one who gets a bunch of interviews, things like that. But Derrick Jones Jr. has the perfect bitch contributor mindset, meaning that he just goes out and plays.
What? I need contributor. Okay. It didn't sound like bench. That's why I had to. Hey, bro, I had to have you clarify that one. I had to have you clear. Hey, listen, if y'all heard what I heard in the pod, somebody's got to get him. That's what I mean. Somebody's got to get him.
So are we saying that Derrick Jones Jr. is playing the pimp on the road? Is that what you thought I was about to say?
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. I had to have you clarify what you said because I know there's more people out there that heard what I heard.
All right, man. Next up, we're going to be talking about Coby White and the Bulls set to match any offer he gets before we do that? Got to talk to you guys about Prize Picks. How does Prize Pick works? You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go on to score more or less than their Prize Pick projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users receive an 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100. All right, coming off that too, got to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors, and that's Nissan. Nissan's most electric player of the week is brought to you by the all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Aria. Now, for the Nissan player of the week, the Bulls ain't played in the week, so guess what? It's not going to be one of those players at all. But I got to give my player of the week to Russell Westbrook, actually from the Los Angeles Clippers. He's been, he has been balling and finding a way to contribute even in games where his shot necessarily isn't falling, still finding a way to contribute. And I do think that kind of that national conversation around Russ, I think has changed drastically with this playoff series. And I think he's worked himself into getting a bag this offseason. But electric, brilliantly fierce, fiercely elegant, stunningly powerful, elegantly powerful. The 2023 Nissan packs pin to your seat power and premium intelligence all in one EV. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Aria. The EV for people who love to drive. Shop now at NissanUSA.com. All right, Pat, listen, I'm just going to turn it over to you. I talked a lot in that ad read. But right now, we came out. There's been some conversation come out. You know, nothing officially from the Bulls, which they aren't going to show their hands. But the Bulls seem like they are expected to kind of let the market set the tone for Coby White's next contract. And then when you really look at kind of the teams out there in the draft space, the cap space that teams have out there on the open market, it doesn't seem like they're expected for a team to come in and offer Coby a huge contract. So the Bulls are prepared to just let the market set the tone and then match that offer. Do you think that's the route right to go when it comes to Coby White?
Is what we saw in the last month and a half of the season the real Coby White? I think you have to take that into account because he was playing at a much better level. Yeah, a much better level of basketball. He's been a higher IQ player all season. I thought that he's done a really good job with that. I think you also have to take into account the fact that he's seemed to find his offensive ability a little bit easier now, being able to create shots and things like that. Coby is turning himself into a player that you have to bring up in the conversation of paying. That does not mean that there isn't a limit to what you can spend, because while he is restricted, right, if somebody comes in and says, I'm willing to pay Coby White $20 million a year, I don't know if I'm there.
Well, but that's the thing, right? It doesn't really seem like there's going to be a team out there willing or able to give him that. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Don't get me wrong, but I look at the teams that have some of those top picks that hit as the teams that I'm looking at a little bit closer, right? Like to me, and now I don't know if Kobe's just going to up and go to them, right? But like a team like the Orlando Magic, that's like, yeah, we got Paolo. We need to put better shooting around him. Yeah. Coby White's somebody who actually can penetrate and be able to knock down some shots. And he had a season this year where he was able to stay a little bit more relatively healthy.
Boom. Like I look at teams more so like that, like your bottom teams that are trying to build a culture and a system up there, and they just need to add people that do specific things. Now, the Magic also have the case where there's 7 point guards on that team. So maybe that one doesn't work out either, but
You want to run through the teams with considerable cap space this
go
offseason?
ahead, run through them.
All right, so first up, we got the Houston Rockets with $61 million in cap space. Can you see them?
I see them offering. I don't think he would go there.
Okay. We got the Spurs with $40 to $48 million projected in cap. That's probably the one I'm worried.
The Spurs could take him.
Especially if they let Trey Jones go as well, they could be looking at Coby White as a replacement there. So I agree there. The Utah Jazz, $31 to $45 million, but keep in mind they're going to probably have to lock up Larry.
Are they though? That's my real question.
Yeah,
that is my real question because I don't know if Lowry's a guarantee there. What do they think Lowry? Not Lowry balled, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I think Lowry should get his money. I think they should lock him up. But Larry Markkinen, realistically, who was pretty healthy for most of the season, still only got you 30 wins.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And
so,
then
I don't know, but I can see them. I can see them making an offer.
Didn't they extend him?
I think Clarkson is locked up. Clarkson is locked up. He might be a trade piece, but I think he is locked up. I could see them adding Coby to that though.
Okay,
they already got Chris Dunn and Lowry anyway. You might as well get the band back together.
Yeah, we already talked about the Magic, but for what it's worth, they could have, and this is a huge gap. They can have between $22 and $58 million in cap space. That's a lot.
I don't even know how that works. I don't even know how that works.
A lot of players. They got a lot of players that are going to be in qualifying offers. That's what that is.
Okay. I could see the Magic. I could see them offering. I don't know if I see him signing there, but I could definitely see them offering.
Okay. Houston Rockets. I'm sorry, I already said that.
You said that.
I'm sorry. The Charlotte Hornets, $27 to $37 million in cap space.
Is Michael Jordan still owning the team?
As of right now, yes.
Coby White played for North Carolina. He will offer him $25 million a year.
Okay. Thunder.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right. Thunder, $31 million.
I thought Thunder. I just don't know where he fits on that team. I think
we don't know how that team fits
better
at all overall. So I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, they had Shea, who like I said before, if that Thunder team won more games, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander would have been an MVP conversation. Period. That's not an if, to me. So I can see them making an offer, but I also think that team is so young, and they really are going to want to develop their own internal free agents. So I see them adding some veterans, maybe at lower deals, while they let those young players go. But a possibility there. Detroit Pistons. Last time we had a shooting guard available that could have left. They did sign Ben Gordon. So, but $30 million in cap space. The Detroit Pistons.
I could see it.
Okay.
And I know that they interested in a player like Coby.
For sure.
So I absolutely could see that.
Indiana Pacers, the last team left with cap space.
I feel like they got their Coby that they feel good about already. Ben Mathurin, to me, is that player on their team. The guy that they're developing and looking to take more of a step, I could see him
just as a aside. I agree with that, right? But just as a conversation piece, could you see them going a 3-guard lineup and where you have Halliburton, Ben Mathurin, and Coby, and all of them can play either one of the guard positions, though? Could you see that happening?
I mean, they didn't really do that much this year. Mathurin was off of the bench. Who's this? You're more so talking about Buddy Hield.
I think Buddy Hield's walking. I think Buddy Hield's
Buddy's gone?
I think Buddy's gone.
Man, we need to get in on that.
If Buddy Hield hits the open market, yes.
Hey, listen, all them teeth. I need all them teeth here in the United Center next season. Need every single one of them mugs. And every time he make a 3, I need to hear my shiny teeth that twinkle just like the stars in space.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I'm not touching that, but
but Buddy Hield's teeth are. But if they lose Hield, I could see them trying to offer for Coby.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. And here's the thing that we don't think about, though. Detroit, Indiana, teams like that, strategic screw jobs. They're not above them. Yeah. I will offer you this contract knowing if the Chicago Bulls pay you this, they gonna be effed up.
And so the
cap
rules have
space is
changed
gonna
too.
be messed up.
The team with the restricted free agent has only 24 hours now to match those deals. Do you remember back in the day? It used to be a week. Then it went from a week to like 3 days. Now it's 24 hours, which is crazy. Like,
bro, cause they used to be, bro. That used to be the worst week. Remember, like, who was it? The Jazz offered Zach 80 or 85 over 4 or something like that. And I think it was still a week, wasn't it?
No, because that changed before. The last time, at least I think the last time that I remember, at least it affecting the Bulls, is the when we signed JJ Redick to an offer sheet. And literally the Magic came out and said, oh, we're matching that. But they didn't officially match it until 7 days, and they locked up the Bulls free agency money for a week.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
dang, we did sign JJ Redick.
Yeah, we signed JJ. Technically, the Bulls signed JJ Redick to the largest contract he had in the NBA, that he ever had in the NBA. We gave him that deal.
I'm not going to lie to you, bro. They tried.
They did. They really did try, bro.
They tried their best, bro.
But then they got a heck of a consolation prize because then we went out and signed Kyle Korver.
We did.
So,
Kyle Korver was a good get. That was it, man. I mean, but JJ can actually shoot in the playoffs, though. JJ was always hurt in the playoffs. Hey, listen, we all love Kyle, but come on, bro.
the
playoff Kyle is not a thing.
The unexpected stray towards Kyle Korver. As we end this segment, Kobe's back in the Bulls uniform. If you had to say it right now, yes or no next season?
Yes, I think Kobe will be back in a Bulls uniform. Probably, hopefully, unless they go for like the strategic screw job with it, hopefully around Lou Dort money range.
Fair.
Lou Dort, I think, is about 15 mil over, like it's like 8, whatever it is. Like he gets 15 mil for the next 5, I think, basically, per year. I would like to see Kobe somewhere around that range. 15 mils, that's a solid role player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Coby White is. Hey, if you like our little exercise of playing GM, here's the best part about it. You can do the same. Before we get into this final topic, we got to tell you guys about Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. It is literally the coolest game. I have logged so many hours into this game. This ain't even an ad read part. And I got to get back into it, right? I had fell off the game for a little while because I had the most championships and nobody was even near me. Find out Nick, host of Locked On Raptors, out here 4 championships deep now. So I'm not the only one with 4. So I got to figure out what's going on with that, man. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM is a game where you're dealing with challenging personalities, talking about players, coaches, hiring the right coach, hiring the right assistants, trading players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency, the ups and downs of multiple seasons, injury, all of that and more. If you feel like you can do that, then this is the game for you. If you've ever wanted to feel what it's like to be AK, you'll never play against Michael Jordan, so you might as well try this. Hey, Locked On Bulls listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when they're using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the App Store. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today.
All right, before we go out for today, Pat, we're going to leave some people to start off the week on something to speculate on. We're going to give our list of way too early free agent targets for the Chicago Bulls. A couple of each here, man. I'll let you take this one away first. Who's top of your list of free agent targets for the Bulls?
Russ can play basketball. Y'all disrespected this man for 3 seasons in a row. He can play basketball. Hey, you want Zach LaVine to be Zach LaVine? Guess what Russ has done with every player that is a top-tier player? James Harden, MVP. Paul George, best stats of his career. Kevin Durant, MVP. MVP of his own. Steven Adams, some of his best numbers with Russ. Now, Russ probably not leaving L.A., but it was about if I wanted the top free agent that I would want. We need a point guard bad. We need a point guard really, really bad. And unless you think the Bulls are going to get some magic pick that they're going to be able to get a top 4 pick and find one in the draft, you're not going to find one in the draft this year. I mean, this is all under the assumption that we're doing something with Lonzo. Like, you got to do something to get some money back off of that, to me. So I think that could open up some money, and I think I would absolutely throw that money Russ's way. He's going to get a pay cut anyway. He's not making another 40. This is probably his last 40. But I think you could throw 20 as well.
And Russell Westbrook has just joined us on the screen. Pat, I know you can't see this. You'll be cracking up when you see the replay of this. Shout out to Russell Westbrook, future Chicago Bull, according to Pat the Designer. We're going to go ahead and report on that.
Are we reporting it? I wasn't reporting it. That's who I wanted. That's who I wanted. I got to see what this is. That's the only thing about this that I dislike, but I love about Restream, bro. You can see everything on Restream. We can't. The jokes ain't the same, bro. The jokes ain't the same.
That's not. It don't hit the same when you can't see it. But I would have took that off. I'm just being a little petty. Okay. And I feel that. I understand what you're saying, and I also like the fact that you do say it's not probably going to happen. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad at all. If the Bulls can find a way to bring in Russ as a starting point guard on a 1 or 2 year rental as they wait out this Lonzo Ball contract to end, hey, you could do a lot worse than that. Yeah. Mine, I'm gonna go more realistic on mine. Just as somebody who I do think that it's gonna be hard for the Bulls to get. So I'm not saying that they could just it's easy for them to sign. And not as let me be clear, this is not as a replacement to Vooch. This is adding to what we have. That would be Naz Reid. I would like Naz Reid as a reserve forward role for the Chicago Bulls.
I like Naz Reid.
Yeah, some Bulls fans say, "Oh, Naz Reid can come in and be better than Vooch right now," and I don't necessarily see that, especially as a player that's 6'9". Hey. But he does fit that mold. Billy Donovan absolutely will run Naz Reid as your starting center. You just got to be clear. But when you look at Naz, only 23 years old, can shoot the ball a little bit from three if you do need to stretch the floor, but does have that reliable mid-range shot as well. Can't really do not the best passer at all, which is one of Vooch's best strengths, but okay passer in times. But I think in this team, if we get the point guard, we don't need him to pass. He can focus on blocking shots, which he's pretty good at protecting the rim. Not an elite level rim protector at all, but I look at if we bring Vooch back and lose Andre Drummond, if you can bring in Naz Reid as your replacement backup center, I think you're doing a lot. I think you're doing some good for the Bulls there.
I wouldn't be mad at a Naz Reid. I like him as your backup. I don't know if Drummond's going to be back or not, but I think the thing is, even with Naz Reid, right, you can run some line. Naz Reid's a player you actually could run with Vooch.
Yeah.
If you needed length, if you needed size, if you're keeping Vooch, you actually could run Naz Reid with Vooch, and like they would be able to play off of each other, I think, really well. Naz Reid would be an interesting one.
Yeah. Who's next?
My next one. I've told you guys this many a times. I probably wanted this guy probably 8 out of the 10 years that he's been in the NBA. Jesus.
Keep it pushing. Next
on my list is Seth Curry. Bulls need shooting. You need shooting bad. You need a guy that can shoot. Is Seth Steph? No, that's crazy to say. Like, is Seth Steph? That was tough. It came out tough. But no, he's not. Right. But he also basically doesn't really have a role on that Brooklyn team anymore. Yeah. I mean, he's probably getting, I would say at most, maybe 6 or 7 shots a game. And he's knocking down 3 to 4 of them. You need a guy that can shoot the ball. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, percentage-wise, he is a better three-point shooter than Stephen Curry. Now, we know how that really works out. But percentage-wise, he is a better three-point shooter than Steph. And I think that Seth is somebody that not only can come in and be your starting point guard, but also somebody that keeps an offensive threat.
You're running Seth Curry as your starting point guard.
I mean, listen, this is if all else fails, right? Like realistically, right? The part we didn't get to with the Coby White topic is Coby White going to be the starter next year? Yeah, and that's a topic that really, and we'll probably get into that a little bit more tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. But that's a topic that realistically, right? Like we don't have one. Pat Bev's probably not coming back. The feeling around Chicago is that, right? You know what I mean? The feeling around Chicago is that Pat Bev is not coming back home. So who's your starting point guard? I think if you sign Seth, I wouldn't want that to be the end all be all answer, but it feels very Bulls.
I mean, hey, weirder things have happened. That's tough. Seth Curry is a starting point. I mean, hey,
he's not a bad starting point guard. We saw him start in Philly. He ran that offense really well. Or not, in Philly. We saw him start in Philly. He ran that offense really well.
He's also playing for his father-in-law. So,
Yeah, but what's his name? Be quick to pull that man.
That is true.
Hey, listen. He be like, it's always good to see Seth. Seth was the first one traded. Like every deal, Seth was a part. Seth was Jaylen Brown, just not as talented, bro. It's like, oh, what we got? We got this happening. Can we add Seth to that? I just don't want him on the team no more. I just don't. He's watching me. Y'all know what I'm on out here. I'm in the game, baby. Somebody tell Derrick Jones pull up.
Oh,
callback is crazy on Locked On.
Oh man! All right.
Who else you got?
On my list, I will say this: Seth Curry is on my list, just not as high as yours. But I'm going to say Trey Jones next, another restricted free agent though. But I like what is he a 3-point shooter? No, but when you look at his assist to turnover ratio, when you look at he's solid defensively, not amazing defensively, but solid defensively.
But the height hurts him a lot.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm looking at I'm looking at like just how he runs the offense and what he learned from playing down there with Pop.
Yeah, I got you.
Playing down there with Pop. So I Trey Jones is I think if the Bulls are able to bring in Trey Jones as their starter next season and kind of let him and Coby kind of run that. Even if Trey Jones was coming off your bench for you, I wouldn't mind that at all. So I'm looking at Trey Jones as a target for me for the Bulls.
I wouldn't be mad at Trey Jones. Like I said, I like I like his offensive ability. I like how he attacks. And I think that he's a guy that players around him get better when he's on the team.
Yeah.
And, so those are the guys that we're looking for. Realistically, we're looking for guys that are going to make Zach LaVine the best version of Zach.
Yeah.
That's what this offseason should be about. My final one. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. We're going. Might as well. Because they're not doing nothing with him except giving them standing ovations for chilling all year.
We're talking about Derrick Rose.
34 and a half years old. Go get Derrick. Now, in this scenario, Derrick Rose cannot come back as your starting point guard. To me, you bring Derrick in as a bench guy that's playing 20 minutes a game, maybe, like coming out to give you solid production and be the leveling voice. But this is probably the situation where if you keep Coby White, you have Coby White be the starter and you have Derrick be the mentor on this team. We've heard what he is in the locker room. We've heard how he's taken a lot of point guards under his wing. He's really worked quickly. And him and Brunson have really built up a relationship from what we've heard, right? Like that, those guys, Brunson being a Illinois native as well out of Rockford, right? Like, so they were able to connect on that level. Though that is the kind of leadership that the Chicago Bulls need here. Derrick Rose as a player was never a vocal leader. Yeah. Derrick Rose as a mentor, though, I feel like could be that thing that helps Chicago Bulls get to the next level.
Okay, I understand that. I mean, here's the thing. I want to see Derrick Rose in his career in the Chicago Bulls uniform. I want to see all that, but I don't. The mentorship I get, and that absolutely can help. I just, at this point, I think I would more rather the Bulls focus on the court stuff, and then worry about that kind of mentorship on the back end. But there's not going to be no Bulls fan that doesn't want to see Derrick Rose back in the Bulls uniform. It's just the role on the team, I think, is the biggest thing I'd have the question for as far as on the court role. But not a bad pick by any stretch of the imagination. But all right,
I think your problem is, right, like, and me and you have said, like, who's your like leader?
Yeah.
That's a problem. It's a problem in itself, right? Your $250 million player is a leader by action, and the action don't always be there.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of that action be turnovers in fourth quarter and crunch time. But, it is what it is there. Next one up, I'm going to say, though, is Mike Conley. I think that, and kind of what my list is built around, is Mike Conley another one that, again, you can bring in, can be a veteran presence for you. A lot of the same things you talk about mentorship, being a veteran. I think he has more left to give on the court. And I think that the Bulls are going to be going out to look for a starting level point guard, but they're going to try to do so cheaply because as more time goes, that Lonzo Ball's kind of like they're not going to use an exceptional Lonzo Ball's contract. So I think you try to maximize the value without having to pay a whole lot. And Mike Conley, I think, is a player that you're going to pay, right? It's going to be, what do you think, about $12 to $16 million on his contract?
Probably 16 because of how respected his IQ is.
Yeah, but again, probably shorter term money. You could probably convince him to sign for a 2-year, maybe a 2+1, and then that one, if he does end up accepting that, picking up that option, at that point, you're looking at Lonzo and DeMar's contract being up, so then you can eat that a little bit better. So, but Mike Conley's high on my list on targets I like to see the Bulls go after, and to really think that out of that pairing of him and Greg Oden in Ohio State, Mike Conley is the one that had the better, by far, not even close. But yeah, Mike Conley.
Health means a lot.
Health does mean a lot.
Health means a lot, man. Hey, man, it's not a bad list, though. It's not a bad list. Let us know who you guys think the Chicago Bulls should go after in free agency in the comments below. We'd be down there talking with you guys as well. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat The Designer. Make sure y'all tuned in for the first episode of the Chicago Bears podcast, dropping tomorrow at noon, I believe. So tune in with us on that.
Absolutely. Make sure y'all check and support Pat over on that. If you want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Haize. It's CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. And thank you for staying in tune with us over the offseason. We're still going to be daily throughout the offseason. Even when a lot of other Locked On shows may go to 3 days a week, we will still be 5 days a week right here talking about our Bulls. But that's it for us for today. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. All hilariousness aside, man, we out this mug. Peace, y'all.
So Derrick Jones Jr. is doing what on the road exactly?